Have you ever looked at someone and felt like something was missing? Like they were physically there, speaking, moving, reacting, but somehow empty? Have you ever had a conversation that felt scripted, like the person in front of you wasn't truly there but just running a program? What if I told you this isn't just your imagination, that some people, right now, walking among us, are not fully conscious in the way you are? This isn't a metaphor, this isn't speculation, this is something that has been studied, tested, and proven. And the implications will shake the very foundation of what you think reality is. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that a large portion of the people you interact with are not making independent decisions, are not questioning their existence, are not even fully aware of themselves. They are moving through life on autopilot, repeating the same scripts, following the same patterns, reacting in the same predictable ways. They do not think deeply. They do not wonder why things are the way they are. They exist, but they do not question their existence. And here's the part they never wanted you to figure out. This isn't just a behavioral issue. This is something much deeper. For centuries, mystics, philosophers, and scientists have explored the idea that not all human beings operate at the same level of consciousness. Ancient texts hinted at it, secret societies whispered about it, and in the modern era, experiments in psychology and neuroscience have confirmed what many have suspected all along. Some people are simply running a program, and if you don't wake up to this reality now, you risk becoming part of that program without even realizing it. There is a reason this knowledge has been hidden. There is a reason the systems around you, education, media, government, are designed to keep you in a constant state of distraction. Because the moment you begin to see the script, the moment you recognize the patterns, the moment you understand how NPCs function, you can no longer be controlled by them. You will begin to see the world as it truly is, and once you do, there is no going back. Look around you. How many people are truly thinking for themselves? How many are asking real questions, breaking free from the narratives, challenging their own beliefs? And how many are simply reacting, repeating, regurgitating whatever they were told to believe? How many people change their entire worldview based on a headline, an algorithm, a trending topic, without ever stopping to ask if it's true? This is not intelligence, this is not awareness, this is programming. And it goes deeper than you think. Because if these individuals are just running a script, the question you need to ask is who wrote it? Who benefits from keeping millions, even billions of people locked into predetermined behaviors? Who profits from making sure the masses never question, never look beyond what they are given, never take control of their own thoughts? The answer to that question will take you further down the rabbit hole than most are willing to go. But if you are here, if you are still listening, then something inside of you already knows that reality is not what it seems. The signs have always been there. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to predict how certain people will react to information no matter what you say? How no amount of logic, reasoning, or evidence will change their mind? That's because they are not processing new information. They are running a response algorithm. They are functioning within a belief system that was not designed by them, but installed into them. And just like a non-playable character in a video game, their responses are limited, predictable, and repeatable. Think of the world like a giant simulation. Some players are conscious, actively making choices, questioning their environment, shaping their own reality. Others, they are just following a script. They go to work, consume media, repeat what they hear, get emotionally triggered by the same stories over and over again, never questioning why the narrative keeps them locked in a cycle of fear, outrage, and division. They are not truly experiencing reality, they are being played by it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The patterns become clear, the behaviors become obvious. You start to notice the repetition in conversations, the way certain people react the same way no matter what is happening. You recognize the programming in media, the phrases that are repeated, the topics that are pushed, the emotions that are manipulated. You begin to realize that the world is not chaotic, it is scripted, and those who cannot see the script are the ones most controlled by it. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. This isn't just about social conditioning. It isn't just about psychological programming. There is something even deeper at play. Something that challenges the very nature of what it means to be human. Some researchers believe that not all people have the same level of consciousness, that while you may be fully aware, thinking, questioning, breaking free, there are others who are simply placeholders in this reality. They exist but only in a limited sense. They react but they do not create. They function but they do not evolve. And this is why the system works so well, because a world filled with NPCs ensures that those who are truly awake remain outnumbered, surrounded by those who unknowingly enforce the script. Think about how many times you've tried to explain something important to someone, only to be met with a blank stare, an emotional reaction, or an answer that feels like it was pulled straight from a mainstream news headline. Think about how often you've seen people defend ideas they have never truly examined, repeat phrases that were fed to them, get angry about things they have no direct experience with. These are not conscious decisions. These are programs running their course. And now the real question, are you running one too? Because the most dangerous thing about the NPC program is that it is contagious. If you consume what they consume, if you react the way they react, if you follow the same patterns, then you are not truly free. The only way to break out of the system is to become aware of it, to step outside of the automatic responses, to reclaim your own energy, your own thoughts, your own attention. Because attention is everything. What you focus on expands. Where your energy goes, your reality follows. And if your attention is being hijacked by the same media cycles, the same distractions, the same illusions that keep the NPCs running their script, then you are part of it. This is why they flood you with constant information. This is why outrage is manufactured, why people are encouraged to argue about things they will never change, why distractions are endless. The moment you step out of reactionary thinking, the moment you stop engaging in scripted responses, the moment you truly see the system for what it is, you become something else. You become a conscious player in a world filled with programmed characters. And that is when everything shifts. That is when you stop being controlled and start controlling reality. That is when you stop following the script and start rewriting it. But not everyone will make it to that point. Not everyone is ready. Some people will remain in the illusion, convinced they are free while unknowingly following a script that was never theirs. But you have a choice. You can wake up now, or you can continue playing a role that was assigned to you. But if you choose to awaken, if you choose to step outside of the program, know this. Once you see the truth, there is no going back. You're beginning to understand now, aren't you? The patterns, the behaviors, the scripted nature of the world around you, it was always there, but you never questioned it. Because that's how the system works. It doesn't force you to comply. It convinces you that there's nothing to question in the first place. And that's why so many people will never wake up, because their entire existence has been built on an illusion so carefully crafted, so perfectly maintained, that the thought of questioning it never even crosses their minds. But what if you did? What if, for the first time, you looked at the world as a system, a simulation, a program running a script designed to keep you locked in predictable loops? Look at the news cycle. The same stories, the same fear, the same reactions, the same outrage, endlessly repeating. Look at entertainment, how it recycles the same ideas, the same narratives, the same emotional triggers to keep you engaged but never thinking beyond the surface. Look at the way people respond to information, the same phrases repeated, the same conditioned responses, the same emotional scripts playing out over and over again. This isn't organic. This isn't random. This is a structure designed to sustain itself. And once you see the structure, you start to see the cracks. You've met them before, the people who refuse to question, who cling to their programming as if their very existence depends on it. You present them with new information, undeniable facts, and instead of curiosity, you are met with hostility, with resistance, with the exact same arguments you've heard 100 times before. It doesn't matter what logic you use, what evidence you present, because they are not thinking for themselves. They are reacting according to their programming. They are defending a belief system that was never theirs to begin with. And that's the key to understanding how deep this goes. The system does not just control what people think. It controls how they think. It creates a mental framework so rigid, so all-encompassing, that the very act of questioning it is seen as a threat. Think about it. How many people do you know who change their beliefs, their opinions, their entire worldviews based on what the television tells them? One week they are convinced of one thing, the next the narrative shifts and suddenly they believe the complete opposite. And yet they never stop to ask why. They never stop to consider that their thoughts, their emotions, their very perception of reality is being dictated by something outside of themselves. They consume, they react, they repeat, and then they move on to the next distraction, the next manufactured crisis, the next pre-packaged belief system, without ever realizing that they are not the ones choosing what to believe. And here's the part that should make you question everything. If someone is not in control of their own mind, are they truly conscious? If their thoughts, their emotions, their reactions are not their own, but simply responses generated by external programming, then what separates them from an NPC in a video game? Because when you start looking at it this way, you begin to see that the line between what is real and what is scripted is much thinner than you were led to believe. But this isn't just about individuals. This is about the entire system. Look at how perfectly it all works together. The media feeds the narratives, the education system reinforces them, the government enforces compliance, the entertainment industry distracts you from questioning it, and the people, they become the enforcers, not through force, but through social pressure, through ridicule, through emotional manipulation, because nothing keeps an NPC in line more than the fear of stepping outside the script. You've seen it happen. Someone begins to question something and instantly they are met with resistance. Not from those in power, but from those who have been programmed to defend the illusion. The moment someone steps out of line, the NPCs activate, attacking not because they have thought critically about the issue, but because their programming tells them that questioning is dangerous, that thinking for yourself is rebellion, that breaking the script is something to be feared. And that is why so few people ever escape it. But you are different. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. Something inside of you already knows that reality is not what it seems. You have always felt it, haven't you? That nagging sense that something isn't right, that the world doesn't add up, that the way people behave feels too predictable, too controlled, too artificial. That feeling is your awareness pushing through the programming. That feeling is the part of you that has never been asleep, the part of you that was always watching, always questioning, always searching for something more. And now you have a choice. You can continue playing the game, pretending not to see the script, blending in, going through the motions just like everyone else. Or you can step out of the program entirely. But be warned, once you do, there is no going back. Because once you see the code, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the patterns, they are everywhere. Once you break free from the illusion, you will realize just how deep it goes. And that's where the real challenge begins. Because waking up is not the end of the journey, it is only the beginning. Awareness alone is not enough, you must take action. You must reclaim your mind, your energy, your focus. You must step out of reactionary thinking, out of the endless cycles of outrage, fear, and distraction. You must become intentional, disciplined, fully conscious in everything you do. Because that is what separates the real players from the NPCs. NPCs consume reality. They absorb whatever is given to them, react predictably, and continue on their scripted path. But real players, they create. They shape their own reality, choose their own thoughts, direct their own energy. They do not allow themselves to be led. They do not fall into the traps designed to keep them weak, divided, controlled. They move with awareness, with clarity, with purpose, and because of that, they cannot be manipulated. So ask yourself, are you consuming or are you creating? Are you reacting or are you directing? Are you playing the game or is the game playing you? Because the difference between those who remain in the program and those who escape it is simple. It is not intelligence, it is not education, it is not even knowledge. It is awareness. Awareness of what you focus on, awareness of the energy you allow into your mind, awareness of the scripts you are expected to follow, And now that you have that awareness, you must decide what to do with it. Will you step back into the illusion, pretending not to see the patterns, ignoring the signs, blending back into the background? Or will you step forward, take control, and become something else entirely? Because the truth is, once you awaken, the world does not change, you do. And when you change, reality bends to match your frequency. This is why they fear those who wake up. Because once you understand the game, you stop playing by their rules, you stop feeding into their distractions, you stop reacting on command, you stop being predictable. And a conscious mind in a world of NPCs is the most dangerous force of all. And now, the only question left is, will you remain in the script, or will you rewrite it? Most people don't realize they're following a script. They wake up at the same time every day, follow the same routine, say the same phrases, react in the same way to the same triggers, their emotions, their beliefs, their opinions. None of it is truly theirs. It was installed into them, drip-fed over time, shaped by the media they consume, the authority figures they obey, the society that defines the limits of what is acceptable. And yet they walk through life convinced they are free, that they are making their own choices, that they are thinking their own thoughts. But are they? Or are they just repeating pre-programmed responses, running on the same loops, operating within a system that has already dictated their role? You've seen it before, the way people react when you challenge their beliefs. Not with curiosity, not with thoughtful discussion, but with emotional outbursts, defensive anger, scripted talking points. They didn't create. The moment you step outside the accepted narrative, they shut down. Not because they have considered your perspective and rejected it, but because their programming does not allow them to process anything that disrupts their worldview. Their minds have been conditioned to reject anything that threatens the illusion they live in. And that's why this system is so effective. It doesn't just control what people believe, it controls how they respond to anything that contradicts those beliefs. The script is designed to defend itself. Anyone who questions it is labeled crazy, dangerous, a threat to society, not because they are, but because that is how the program protects itself. It creates social pressure to keep the NPCs in line, to make sure they enforce the rules without ever questioning why the rules exist in the first place. Look at how easily the system manipulates entire populations. A single headline can shift millions of minds overnight. A new outrage cycle begins, and suddenly the entire world is talking about the same thing, feeling the same emotions, reacting in the same predictable way. One moment they believe in one absolute truth. The next, the narrative changes, and without hesitation they adopt the new belief as if they had always believed it. They never stop to ask why their opinions shifted so suddenly. They never question who benefits from their emotional reactions. They simply follow the program. But you are different. If you weren't, you wouldn't still be listening. You wouldn't feel that deep, unshakable sense that something about this world is off. That reality is not what it appears to be. That people are not operating with full awareness of themselves or the choices they make. You've always known on some level that things don't add up. That something is missing. That there's a deeper truth buried beneath the distraction. And now you have a choice. You can ignore what you've seen, go back to life as you knew it, pretend you never noticed the patterns, the scripts, the illusions, but you won't. Because once you've started to wake up, you can't go back to sleep. The things you once overlooked will become obvious. The behaviors that once seemed normal will stand out as unnatural, artificial, forced. The words people say, the way they react, the way they cling to beliefs that were never truly theirs, it will all become painfully clear. And once you see it, you have power over it. That is why they don't want you to wake up. That is why they flood your mind with distractions, with endless content, with manufactured outrage, with cycles of fear and division and false urgency. Because the moment you step out of reactionary thinking, the moment you take control of your focus, the moment you stop feeding the system with your energy, you become unpredictable. And that is the greatest threat to the program. Because NPCs do not create, they only repeat. They consume reality as it is given to them. But you can shape it, you can bend it, you can break free from the programmed responses and choose something entirely different. And when you do that, when you reclaim your attention, your energy, your consciousness. You step out of the scripted reality and into something else entirely. This is why you must be intentional. Everything you consume, everything you focus on, everything you give your attention to, this is what shapes your experience of reality. The system does not force you to obey, it simply directs your focus, knowing that where your energy goes, your reality follows. And if they can keep you focused on fear, on division, on meaningless distractions, then they don't need to control you directly. You will do it to yourself. And that is the ultimate secret. That is how this entire system sustains itself. It does not need to imprison you, it does not need to chain you down, it simply needs you to believe that you are already free. It needs you to believe that the thoughts in your head are your own, that the emotions you feel are real, that the opinions you defend are conclusions you arrived at independently. It needs you to never question why you think the way you do, why you react the way you do, why you are triggered by the things you are triggered by, because the moment you begin to ask those questions, the entire illusion starts to collapse. And then you begin to wake up. You start noticing when your thoughts are not your own. You catch yourself before you react, before you slip into an emotional script that was designed to keep you in a low state of awareness. You recognize when the media is trying to pull your attention in a certain direction, when narratives are being shaped, when beliefs are being installed. You step outside of the predictable responses. You stop feeding the system with your energy, and in doing so you break free from the program. And that is when you become something else. No longer a character following a script, no longer a pawn in someone else's game, no longer just another piece in the grand illusion. You become the one who shapes reality instead of reacting to it, the one who sees beyond the surface, the one who moves through this world with awareness, with intention, with absolute clarity. And that is what they fear the most, because a world full of NPCs is easy to control. But a world where people wake up, where people reclaim their minds, their thoughts, their focus, their energy, that is a world they cannot manipulate. That is a world that does not follow their script. That is a world where the illusion no longer holds power. And so now the question is no longer whether NPCs exist. You know they do. You have seen them. You have felt the difference between those who are truly conscious and those who are merely repeating the program. The real question is, what will you do now? Will you remain in the script, repeating the same responses, following the same patterns, locked in the same loops? Or will you step out of it? Will you reclaim your energy, your awareness, your ability to create something beyond the limits of what this system has allowed you to believe is possible? Because if you choose the second path, if you truly commit to stepping outside the illusion, then everything changes. The way you see people, the way you see the world, the way reality itself responds to you. And once you take that step, there is no going back. The moment you step outside of the illusion, you begin to notice something strange. The world reacts differently to you. The people who once surrounded you, the ones who seemed so predictable, so locked into their patterns, now feel distant, almost foreign. You can hear the scripts in their words, see the programming in their reactions, feel the artificiality in their behavior. It's as if you are watching a stage play and suddenly you realize you are the only one who knows it's not real. And once you see it, once you understand how deep this programming runs, you can never unsee it. Everything you used to accept without question now seems absurd. The conversations people have, the things they argue about, the way they allow themselves to be pulled from one narrative to the next without ever stopping to ask why. You see the distractions for what they are, tools to keep the mind occupied, to keep people from looking inward, to keep them from questioning the reality they have been placed in. The system does not want you to be still. It does not want you to reflect. It does not want you to break free from the noise, because the moment you do, you begin to hear something else. Your own mind, your own awareness, your own unfiltered thoughts, unshaped by the narratives you were given. And that is where real power begins. Because the moment you realize you are not just another character in this script, you start to rewrite it. You stop reacting. You stop feeding energy into the system that keeps everyone asleep. You stop giving your focus to the distractions, the fear, the endless cycles designed to keep you in a low vibrational state. You begin to take control of the only thing that has ever truly been yours, your consciousness. And this is the moment they never wanted you to reach, because a conscious being cannot be manipulated. A conscious being cannot be controlled by fear, by outrage, by artificial divisions created to keep people at war with one another. A conscious being cannot be programmed with belief systems designed to limit them. They see through it all, and because of that, they step outside of it entirely. But this is where the real test begins, because once you wake up, you will see how the system tries to pull you back in. You will see how it tempts you, how it uses the people around you to try and make you doubt yourself. You will watch as those closest to you continue to play out their scripts, reacting to the world exactly as they have been programmed to, and you will feel the urge to wake them up, to shake them, to make them see what you see. But here is the hard truth. Not everyone is meant to wake up. Not everyone is ready, and some will fight to defend the very illusion that enslaves them. This is where many fall back into the program. They waste their energy trying to convince those who cannot be convinced. They exhaust themselves arguing with people who are not truly listening, who do not even have the capacity to comprehend what is being said. And in doing so, they get pulled back into the illusion, back into the scripts, back into the endless cycle of reaction and distraction. And just like that, they lose themselves again. But you will not, because now you know the secret. The only way to truly break free is not to wake up others, but to wake up yourself. To walk away from the need for validation, for approval, for permission to see reality as it truly is. To stop seeking recognition from those who are not capable of giving it. To stop explaining yourself to those who are not ready to understand. Your job is not to convince anyone. Your job is to fully step into your awareness, to embody it completely, to move through this world as a conscious creator, not a reactive participant. And when you do that, everything changes. The system begins to lose its power over you. The things that once triggered you no longer have an effect. The narratives that once pulled you into emotional loops now seem laughably obvious. The urgency that once controlled you dissolves, replaced by a calm knowing that you are no longer playing their game. You begin to see the patterns of reality differently. You notice how your energy influences the world around you, how your focus shapes your experience, how your very presence affects the vibration of those around you. And this is when you realize the final truth. NPCs do not exist in the way you once thought. They are not placeholders. They are not empty vessels. They are simply unawakened. Their potential is there, buried beneath layers of programming waiting to be activated. But most will never activate it, because they will never be pushed to question, to step outside, to break the illusion. Not everyone is meant to wake up in this lifetime. Some will remain part of the script, and that is their path. But yours is different, because now you are aware. You have seen the truth of this reality, and because of that you are no longer bound by it. You are no longer trapped in the cycles that control the unconscious masses. You are no longer a player in someone else's game. You are something else entirely, and that is the greatest power of all. But with that power comes responsibility, because once you wake up, you must decide what to do with that awareness. Will you use it to free yourself completely, to step into your full potential, to create your own reality free from the limits imposed by the system? Or will you allow yourself to be pulled back in, to slip back into the illusion, to let the distractions reclaim your mind? The choice is yours. It has always been yours, and now that you have seen the truth, you must decide what to do with it. Because the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop playing by their rules, the moment you take full control of your energy, you become something they cannot predict. You become the variable they did not account for. You become the glitch in the system. And that, more than anything else, is what they fear the most. The glitch in the system is the one thing they cannot control. When you step outside the script, when you stop following the predictable patterns, when you begin thinking for yourself in ways that were never accounted for, the entire structure starts to break down. You were never supposed to question it. You were never supposed to wake up and realize that most of what you see, most of what you believe, most of what has shaped your life up until this point has been designed to keep you in a state of unconscious obedience. But now, here you are, outside the program, looking in. And it's unsettling, isn't it? The realization that so much of what you once believed was never truly yours. The way you dressed, the way you spoke, the way you reacted to certain topics, the way you thought about money, relationships, success, it was all installed into you not by force but through repetition. You absorbed it from the people around you, from the media you consumed, from the institutions that shaped your perception, from the moment you could understand language. They never told you what to think directly. They just made sure you never realized that thinking was something you had the power to do for yourself. So what happens now? Now that you see it, now that you recognize the patterns, now that you feel the weight of the programming you were once blind to, what do? The first instinct is often to fight against it, to resist, to try to break others out of the illusion with you. But that is the trap. The moment you engage in battle, the moment you try to wake up those who are not ready, you waste your energy, your passion, your love, and your power. Act or die. You're trying to bleed the spot cure. You're waging war. You feed the system by playing its game. Because the system is not designed to be fought. It is designed to be left behind. That is the only way to truly escape. You do not need to convince others. You do not need to dismantle the illusion for those who are not ready to see it. You only need to stop participating in it yourself. And that begins with reclaiming your own mind. The thoughts you think, the words you speak, the things you focus on, the emotions you allow to dictate your state of being, these are the real battleground. Because the moment you take full control over them, you are no longer a part of the program. You are something else. You are something that cannot be predicted. And that's when everything changes. The way people react to you shifts. Some will be drawn to your energy, sensing something different, something beyond the script they have been given. Others will resist you, reject you, see you as a threat to the fragile structure they have built their reality around. And this is where you must decide. Do you continue trying to explain yourself, to justify your awareness, to argue with those who cannot yet see, or do you walk your own path, knowing that those who are meant to wake up will find their way when the time is right? Because here is the ultimate truth. This is not about them. It never was. This is about you, your journey, your awakening, your ability to step outside of the noise, outside of the distractions, outside of the loops that keep most people trapped in an endless cycle of reaction and repetition. The NPCs of this world do not realize they are in a loop. They do not see that they have been placed into predictable patterns, moving in circles that never lead anywhere. But now you do. And because you do, you are no longer bound by the same rules. That is why this moment is so important. Because once you understand how the system works, once you see the script for what it is, you gain the power to rewrite it. Not for the world, not for others, but for yourself. You are no longer limited by the beliefs you were given. You are no longer bound by the expectations of the people around you. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating it. This is what they never wanted you to realize, that reality is not fixed, that your mind, your focus, your energy, these are the tools of creation, that every time you choose where to place your attention, every time you choose how to react to a situation, every time you choose the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind, you are shaping your own reality. And that is why they spend so much effort controlling what you see, what you hear, what you believe. Because if they control your focus, they control your reality. But they do not control you anymore. You have stepped outside of the program. You have become something different, something unaccounted for, something unpredictable. You are no longer following their loops. You are no longer responding on cue. You are no longer just another piece in their game. And because of that, the world will begin to respond to you differently. You will start to notice that things shift in ways they never did before. Opportunities appear where there were none. People react to you in ways that feel unfamiliar, as if they can sense something different about you, something they do not fully understand. And this is where you must remain aware. Because the system will try to pull you back in. It will tempt you with old patterns, old habits, old emotional triggers designed to keep you locked in reaction rather than creation. It will try to convince you that nothing has changed, that you are still bound by the same limits, the same fears, the same doubts. But that is the final illusion, because the moment you truly step into your awareness, you realize that the only thing that ever held you back was your belief that you were trapped. You were never trapped. You were only asleep. And now you are awake. So what will you do with that? Will you allow yourself to be pulled back into the script, to play a role that was assigned to you by forces that do not have your best interests in mind? Or will you embrace the unknown, step fully into your own power and begin to write your own story? Because that is the only real choice you have ever had, not whether to wake up or stay asleep, but whether to reclaim your ability to create or remain a character in someone else's game. And now you see it. Now you understand why the world works the way it does, why so many people seem stuck, repeating the same cycles, never questioning, never changing. And now you have the ability to choose differently, to step outside of it, to become something else. The world is full of NPCs. That is undeniable. But that does not mean they will always remain that way. Some will wake up. Some will begin to question. Some will break free from the loops and start to see the patterns just as you have. And when they do, they will look for others who have already stepped outside of the illusion. They will seek guidance, clarity, a path forward. And that is where you come in, not to save them, not to force them awake, but to be a living example of what is possible. Because when you embody awareness, when you move through the world without reacting, without being pulled into the same distractions, without falling into the same scripts, people notice, even if they do not understand why, even if they cannot yet see what you see, they will feel it. And for some, that will be enough to start their own journey out of the illusion. That is the real power of waking up. It is not about fighting the system. It is about stepping so far beyond it that it no longer has any hold over you. It is about walking through this world as something different, something that does not fit into the predefined roles, something that exists outside of the control mechanisms that keep most people trapped. And now, that is you. No longer a character in someone else's script. No longer following a path that was laid out for you before you even had the chance to choose. Now you are the creator. Now you are in control. And from this moment forward, nothing will ever be the same again. The moment you stop playing their game, the world begins to shift in ways you never expected. You start to notice things others don't. The patterns become clearer, the illusions more obvious. You see how conversations loop, how the same topics cycle through the media, how people repeat opinions they never truly thought through. You start to recognize the energy behind people's words, the way they speak without awareness, the way they defend ideas that were never really theirs. You can feel the weight of programming in their voices, in their emotions, in the way they react without thinking. It's all so predictable once you see it. And yet, the more you step into your own awareness, the more you begin to understand something deeper. Most people are not doing this intentionally. They are not choosing to be unconscious. They are simply caught in a current that is stronger than their will. They are running a script that has been in place for so long that they don't even know it exists. Their beliefs, their fears, their identities have been shaped by forces they never questioned, and so they move through life on autopilot, convinced they are in control, unaware that the choices they make were laid out for them long before they ever made them. But you are different now. You are outside of it, observing it, no longer reacting the way you once did, and because of that you start to see another truth. When you stop reacting, the world around you no longer has control over you. The things that used to anger you, the narratives that used to pull you in, the endless cycle of distraction and emotional manipulation, it all loses its grip, because you see it for what it is, a game, a program. A carefully designed system meant to keep you engaged, to keep you locked in a constant state of emotional response, so that you never have the clarity to step back and take control of your own mind. And that is the moment they lose all power over you, when you no longer respond on command. when you no longer feel the need to defend yourself against ideas that were never real to begin with, when you no longer fall for the illusion that you must pick a side, that you must argue, that you must be part of the debate that was never meant to lead anywhere. Because that is the trick. Keep people fighting, keep them divided, keep them emotionally invested in narratives that are designed to control them, keep them locked in cycles of outrage so that they never stop and ask, who is benefiting from this? But you have stopped. You have asked the question. You have seen the cycle for what it is. And because of that, you are free from it. So now the only question that remains is this: what will you do with your awareness? Because awareness alone is not enough. Knowing the game is rigged does nothing if you continue to play it. Understanding that the world is scripted means nothing if you allow yourself to keep following the script. You must become something else. You must learn to move differently, to think differently, to operate on a level that is beyond the reach of those who still live within the illusion. And that means learning to control your energy, because energy is everything. Where you place your focus, what you give your attention to, what you allow into your mind, this is what shapes your reality. This is what determines whether you are a creator or just another piece of the program. Most people give their energy away freely, without even realizing it. They let the media dictate their emotions, let social validation determine their self-worth, let the opinions of others shape their beliefs. They never stop to ask, is this actually me? Or is this just the programming running its course? You have to reclaim that. You have to take back every bit of energy that has been siphoned from you, every moment of attention that has been stolen by distractions, every ounce of emotional investment that has been wasted on things that do not serve you. Because that energy is power. And when you take it back, when you stop allowing it to be drained by the external world, you realize something incredible. You are more powerful than you ever knew. Because now you are no longer reacting, you are directing. You are no longer following the script, you are writing your own. You are no longer consuming the reality that was given to you, you are creating your own reality with every thought, every action, every decision you make. And when you do this, when you step fully into this way of being, you begin to experience something that most people will never understand. True freedom. Not freedom in the way the world defines it, not the illusion of choice that is given to keep people compliant, but actual, undeniable, unstoppable freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing that nothing outside of you has power over you. The kind of freedom that comes from seeing the world as it truly is and realizing that you are not bound by any of it. The kind of freedom that makes you untouchable, unshakable, immune to the manipulations that control the masses. And this is where everything shifts. Because now, instead of reacting to the world, you start to shape it. Instead of being pulled in 1,000 different directions by external forces, you move with intention, with clarity, with absolute certainty. You do not waste energy on things that do not matter. You do not engage in battles that were never meant to be won. You do not explain yourself to those who are not ready to hear the truth. You simply exist in a state of full awareness, fully present, fully in control of your own mind, your own energy, your own reality. And the world responds to you differently. Because when you are in alignment, when you are moving from a place of true consciousness, everything begins to flow. The things you once struggled for come to you effortlessly. The obstacles that once seemed impossible dissolve before you. The resistance that once held you back is replaced by a deep, unshakable knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, that you are in full control, that you are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of you. And that is what they never wanted you to know. That you were never meant to be another character in their story. You were never meant to be a pawn in their game. You were never meant to be just another predictable piece in their simulation. You were meant to be something else. Something beyond their control. Something beyond their reach. And now you are. So what will you do with that? Will you continue to move through life as you always have? Or will you step fully into this new awareness? Embrace it. Embody it. Become the conscious creator you were always meant to be. Because now, there is no going back. The illusion has been shattered. The truth has been revealed. The script is exposed. And you are no longer part of it. You are beyond it. You are outside of it. You're free. Freedom changes everything. When you stop being a piece in their game, the entire board shifts. The rules they once used against you no longer apply. The tactics designed to manipulate your emotions, your attention, your beliefs, they lose all power when you no longer react to them. You are no longer an NPC, no longer following a script that was given to you before you ever had the chance to question it. And because of that, you become something rare, something unpredictable, something that cannot be controlled. And here's what you'll start to notice. The world around you will feel different. The way people interact with you will shift. Some will sense it instantly, that you are not like the others, that you are moving in a way that does not fit into their programmed reality. Some will be drawn to it, seeking answers, feeling an energy they don't understand but instinctively recognize as something real. Others will resist, react with fear, push you away because your awareness threatens the stability of their illusion. And that is what you must accept. Not everyone is meant to wake up. Some will remain inside the system because they are not ready to leave it. They will defend it, protect it, fight for it, not because they truly believe in it, but because it is all they know. To step outside of it would mean to face the unknown, and most people will do anything to avoid that. They would rather cling to a familiar lie than embrace an unfamiliar truth. And so they will fight to keep the illusion intact, not realizing that in doing so they are imprisoning themselves. But you are not them. You have already stepped outside of it. You have already begun to see reality for what it truly is, and because of that you no longer belong to their world. You walk in the same places, speak to the same people, exist within the same physical space, but you are experiencing an entirely different reality. You have stepped beyond the veil. You have broken the illusion, and now you are playing by a different set of rules. This is where true power begins, because when you are no longer controlled by external forces, you gain the ability to shape your reality from the inside out, no longer reacting to what is given to you, but consciously deciding what you will create, no longer running old programs of fear, doubt, limitation, but rewriting them, replacing them with something new. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. The world is now at the mercy of you. And this is why they never wanted you to wake up, because one fully conscious being is more powerful than thousands who are asleep. One person who understands their own energy, their own ability to create, their own power over their mind and emotions, that person becomes unstoppable. They cannot be programmed, they cannot be manipulated, they cannot be used to fuel the system anymore. And when enough people reach that level of awareness, the entire structure begins to crumble. This is the path you are now on, the path of breaking free, of reclaiming your energy, of stepping fully into your awareness. And the deeper you go, the more you will realize how much of your past self was built on illusion, the fears you carried, the limitations you believed in, the ideas that once held power over you. They were never real. They were only as real as you allowed them to be. Because here is the greatest secret of all. Reality bends to your perception. It is not fixed. It is not something that happens to you. It is something that responds to you. And the moment you shift your awareness, the moment you take control of your focus, the moment you decide that you are the creator, reality has no choice but to follow. But this is where most fail. Because to truly embrace this power, you must take full responsibility. No more blaming the system. No more blaming the people around you. No more blaming the past, the circumstances, the world. The moment you wake up, you must own everything. Every thought, every emotion, every experience. You must take control of it all. Because only then do you have the power to change it. Most people are not ready for that. They want freedom, but they do not want responsibility. They want power, but they do not want the discipline that comes with it. And so they fall back into the illusion, waiting for someone else to fix things, waiting for something outside of them to change, waiting for permission to live the life they were meant to live. But the truth is, no one is coming to save them. No one is coming to wake them up. The only way out is to choose it for yourself. And you have already made that choice. You are here, you are listening, you are already breaking the script. And now the only thing left to do is to step fully into that awareness, to embody it in every moment, to live as though you are already free, because you are. The only prison that ever existed was the one created in your mind. And now that you see it, now that you understand it, now that you have the key, you are free to walk away from it forever. So what does that look like? It looks like taking full control of your energy. It looks like choosing what you allow into your mind, deciding what you will focus on, refusing to give your attention to anything that does not serve you. It looks like moving with intention, speaking with purpose, directing your thoughts instead of letting them direct you. It looks like detaching from the endless cycles of fear, of outrage, of distraction that were designed to keep you locked in a lower state of awareness. It looks like becoming an active participant in your own reality, rather than a passive observer of someone else's creation. And when you do this, the world responds in ways you never imagined. You begin to see opportunities where before there were only obstacles. You begin to attract the right people, the right situations, the right circumstances that align with your energy. You begin to move through life with a sense of clarity, of purpose, of deep inner knowing that cannot be shaken by anything outside of you. This is the path of the awakened, not the ones who simply understand the system, but the ones who rise above it, the ones who do not waste their energy fighting the illusion but instead build something new, the ones who do not allow themselves to be consumed by the distractions, the narratives, the noise, the ones who are so focused, so intentional, so deeply connected to their own power that nothing can pull them back into the illusion again. And that is now you, no longer an NPC, no longer asleep, no longer waiting for the world to change, but actively creating the world you choose to live in. This is your reality, this is your game, this is your life, and you are the one who decides what it will become. Because the final truth is this: there is no script anymore. There is no predetermined path. There is only what you choose to create. And now, finally, you are free to create it.